Hey guys, it's Chris here with Prestige Auto. Today we got this '08 Cobalt in the garage. We're going to be doing a brake and rotor job on it. So for you guys that's never done brakes or rotors, I'm going to get the tools together. I'm going to teach you guys how to change those out today. Alright, we've got her jacked up and got it on some jack stands. For those of you that's never done this, you want to get your jack under there, get it on your frame, and always use jack stands. Don't rely on your jack. Mine is a pretty good jack, but it's a piece of crap. When you jack it up, it slowly leaks back down, so that's not safe. Anyways, jack it up, get it on something secure under there, and then go to the other side, do the same thing, get your wheels off the ground. So just put your jack under there right next to where I have that jack stand on the frame, and jack it up slowly until your wheel comes off the ground. Once you got it up, set it on your jack stand and release your jack down. Move on to the next side. Okay, now we've got the car off the ground and secured on jack stands. We've got a couple basic tools together to go ahead and get the wheel off and get an idea of what we're working with. We've got a flashlight here. I like to use my impact. This nut here is a 19 millimeter. If you don't have one of these, you can use a 4-way, or sometimes the jack that came with the car, there will be some type of tool to get the lug nuts off in there. So really, basically, we just need a flashlight and get this wheel off first to see what we're dealing with. Well, okay, we got the wheel off. We looked in there, and in fact the brakes are bad and it does need rotors. So I'm going to run all the way into the city and grab those parts, and I'll be right back. Whew. Wow, that was a long run to town. But I got the parts, we're ready to put them on. This is not a pizza, this is rotors. So, now that we've got our parts, we're going to look down here, and some of the tools that we're going to use to do this job. Okay, some of the tools to get us going on this job are going to be, we're going to need, what was this? A 15 millimeter socket, a couple extensions, a ratchet. I like to use my air ratchet, a C-clamp. I've got this brake caliper tool deal that recesses it for me, pushes it in, and then so this wrench is just to stick on the end of this or the end of that to crank it down. Alright, we've got all the tools together. We're going to look up in here. And this is your brake caliper. This is where your brakes are located. This is your rotor. This basically is just setting in there, but we got to take this caliper off to pull that off. Then we'll get the new rotor out of that box, and it just slides on over your studs back into place. That's the easy part. The brakes aren't too bad. There's a 15 millimeter nut right here, and there's one on the bottom. When you take those two off, this should just slide right off. We'll get those off and I'll show you the next step. Okay, now we've got this top one loose and the bottom one loose. You want to take those out, make sure you save them, put them to the side. Now this should just wiggle off, and you can set it out of the way for now. Alright, so this is your rotor. Like I said, it just slides right off. Now, we'll take the new one, slide it in place. That's simple. You don't want that to happen. The brake caliper just fell. Usually I take a bungee strap and strap it up there to hold it. I didn't this time. Wish I would have. Alright, anyways. That sound you heard was one of the brake pads falling out. They're just falling out. They were pretty rough. This is what the old ones look like. See how thin that is? This is the new one. Look at the difference. Some people just don't change their brakes like they should. Anyways, this is the old one. Let's get out the other one. Now, I've got this caliper upside down now. You just pop them out like that. They just pretty much slide right out. Alright, they're out. Now, let me tilt it up so you can see. We've got the new ones here. So as you can see, they've got little notches on them. So inside here, you can't see it because it's dark, but there's little notches on each side there and here on this side. You want to line these notches up, slide it in, turn this one around, make sure you put the pad to the inside. The pads want to be to the inside like that. Put them in there, pop them in. We'll get those in and I'll show you the next step. Alright, we got the first one in there. I'd like to add that sometimes those things can be hell getting in. But there's the little tab I was telling you about where it slides in. There's one over here and one over there. There's little push-up tabs on the top and the bottom. You gotta push it up as you slide it in. Sometimes they can be aggravating. Anyways, on to the next step. Before you put in this back side, you want to go ahead and compress that thing in, because once you put both of those in, you're not going to have enough room to slide over this new rotor. So we'll go ahead and compress that in. If you don't have one of these tools, you can use a C-clamp. Just open it up, clamp it there, set it there, and tighten it in. I bought this little thing at Harbor Freight. It was about $5. It works sometimes. We're going to try it now. Now you want to twist it tight so that it pushes that piston in and gives you enough room. So we're going to spin this here. Okay, as you twist it, it's going to push that piston in. Just keep on going. Now that you've pushed that one back, we're going to take this other one and put it to the inside, and it has little clips like these right here, or little grooves cut out, notches, right there on both sides. We're going to slide that in, and then we'll flip it around and set it back on the rotor. Alright, now that we've got this bottom one in place, just take it and slide it into place like that. Now you have enough room to get it over that rotor, so you'll just take this and slide it over, set it back into place like that. You'll take your 15mm nuts, bolts, put it back into there, put the other one into the bottom, tighten those down. Alright, we slid it back over the rotor like I showed you. It goes in between those two brake pads you installed. Slide it into place, put on your 15mm here, put on the one at the bottom, snug them down real good, and that's it. We're going to get our wheel, put it back on. You're going to lift it up, slide it over your lug nuts, over your studs, put your lug nuts back on, and we'll go over to the other side and do it. Now when you're putting your hubcap back on, there's going to be a little cutout on it for your valve stem where you put air in your tire. Make sure that you line those up together. That's it. That's one side. Let's move to the other side and do it. Alright guys, we got that wrapped up. That's how you change the brakes and rotors on almost any vehicle. I hope y'all found that helpful. Thanks for watching.